Update your title. Still says digital prophet.
Well, here, we can fix that real quick.
Yes, you can.
Let's see. Edit. Name and headline.
Why they call it a headline? Maybe you should make a headline. Man seen podcasting. Film at 11.
There you go. Divide by 0.
Divide by 0. You confuse the whole computer. Broke
that's,
the internet.
that's right.
All right. Do we dare try to go to Facebook and share this thing?
Again, you can share this ahead of time.
That's true. But I prefer to share them the actual live video. Okay. Post as me. Redraw the screen. Rearrange it. And share now public. Done.
Interact as myself. You got to jump through a lot of hoops to make this happen.
Yeah, you do. An API would solve a lot of problems.
Yeah. This is interesting. I was, after the other day we were talking, you mentioned the Rode Podcaster 2 again.
Mm-hmm.
I was looking at it and I was like, okay, what if I did get that?
Mm-hmm.
What do I do with my USB mics? And I was like, because it doesn't necessarily support USB mics.
Nope.
But I did see an interesting little, dare I say, hack. What they did, what the guy said was, here's how you can hook it up. So you would go this has a headphone out.
Yes.
So you would set it to about 50%, and you can plug it into the instrument plug-in, like you'll plug in a guitar,
right?
Where it may not necessarily, it has an 1/8 head or headphone jack,
right?
Instead of the normal XLR, and it worked. I was like, he said the only thing you got to do is turn off the phantom power. He said, and the USB
that jack wouldn't have phantom power on it. Phantom power is for the XLR.
No, on the Podcaster Pro, you don't want to send power back to it. So
that jack doesn't have.
Oh no, he turned it off. He turned it off.
He doesn't understand what phantom power is.
Well, I would still turn it off anyway, but there was an option to turn it off, and he used a USB cable to plug into one of the USB-C ports for power. And that was it.
Mike Robinson says, "Fire phasers." I can do that. Oh, I need to bring up my other rack.
Anyway, I thought it was an interesting setup. At least you could use them, and it sounded good. He switched over to it, and it sounded just fine.
Now we can fire phasers. If I get it to stop there. And we fire. Okay, Sulu, they're dead. Sulu.
We talked about this in
Sulu, you're just getting a little rambunctious there.
He's got anger management issues.
Yeah, we talked about this in your review last week. Remember?
Yeah. That's right.
Okay. You ready to begin? My mic's a little hot.
Wait. As we're recording this, I've only got one viewer, so this is really for Mike. Happy birthday, Chuck. I already told you that once today, but I'm going to tell you again.
Thank you. Thank you.
How's it feel being 65?
I look good for a man of 80.
Yeah, that's right.
I look like crap for a man of 30.
As my dad says, 80, I used to think that was old.
Well, Brad Miller sent me a text. He goes, 41, huh? And I sent the emoji with the, tears coming out that sideways. And Donna says, that's a surefire way to let them know you're over 40. Apparently kids don't use that emoji.
Yeah.
Like, what do the kids use? The dynamite? I don't know.
Yeah, that's what you need. Blowing it up,
So we broke out the awkward hugs game that Joe gave me.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, it was kind of fun. It comes with like 2 belts that you put on each player, and then there's like a locking mechanism that locks the belts together. So you're kind of locked at the hip or the waist or however you want to turn.
Okay. Oh.
and there's 2 sets of cards. One are questions, the other is consequence. So you read a question card like not quite like never have I ever, but you ask the question. For example, it said Oh, no, can't remember any of the questions.
And there he's
It was
showing
it
his
wasn't
age.
it wasn't very yeah, it wasn't, terribly embarrassing stuff.
Right.
But it said, you're supposed to answer yes or no. They're all yes or no questions. So you go, I have stolen food from someone else's plate when they weren't looking. Okay. And if the two people that are belted together agree, then they get a point. And after 3 points, you get to be unbuckled. If they disagree, then you pick up a consequence card. And the consequences are usually, fairly benign,
Okay.
like nose kisses. Okay.
Those kisses.
Or do a high kick together. Yeah, so you're supposed to try and do
Oh,
a
while
high
you're
kick
buckled together,
while you're
right?
buckled together,
Right.
which helps when you're not like face to face, you'll be kicking each other. The there were a couple in there, like one question is, are you currently holding in a fart? And you're allowed to challenge the questions too. So
Mhm.
then
Okay.
so first it was Donna and me buckled together, and we got out of that fairly quickly. I think we did like 2 or 3 consequences. Then Grantis and Lisa buckled up, and it just went on and on. They didn't agree about anything.
Oh, no.
It took a long
Uh-oh.
time to get their 3 cards to get them unbuckled.
It's gonna be a long night tonight.
Then Donna and Lisa buckled up, which was
Mhm.
kind of fun. And then Grantis and I buckled up, and we were out in 3 flat. There were no
Right.
consequences.
That's
It
funny.
was the answer was no to all 3 questions. I said, "Stick with no. We'll be out of here in no time."
No kidding.
Even if it's embarrassing.
That's
So
pretty
it was
funny. We went to a neighbor's house one time, and they played a they played a game similar, but it was more like couples answer question thing and see how close you get to the each one. And one, I don't know how this worked, but one of them kind of backfired on me. We asked the question. I think it was had to do with if the toilet paper rolls a little low, would you be the one to swap it out? And I was thinking, I do that all the time. And Kim said, no, to me. I was like, what? A couple of weird questions like that. And I'm like, yeah, it made for an awkward night.
We thought maybe we could bring this to Dragon Con and then do random pairings of people. So give everybody a number and roll a D20 and say, who's got number 8 and who's got number 16.
As long as
get
you're okay
buckled
with
together.
people being in your personal space, you may not know closely.
Yeah, and we'll do it early in Dragon Con after,
No,
when people are still showering
no. You do it late in the evening when after everybody's been drinking.
and really stinky.
That's true. That too.
Well, that was one of the questions that Lisa and Grantis had is, I've gone more than a week without showering. And Grantis was no, and Lisa was yes.
Oh, I did that once.
Hey,
I was
if you're on a road trip or something, you can't
we
always.
were hiking at
Yeah,
Philmont
exactly.
for a week. Yeah, it was yeah.
It's not the most pleasant experience.
No, but after a while, you start going, I don't smell myself.
So you got to take
Actually, what's funny is there were some places we were at, and we were so filthy, after just hiking and doing all the things we were doing. I was okay with just laying straight on the ground and relaxing, to rest. Just no hammock, no nothing. Just I'm okay to lay on the ground because how much dirtier am I going to get?
Oh, it's a matter of back pain for me. I can't just lay on the ground.
Oh, I want to talk about going to sleep, but yeah,
Oh,
just just lay there, just lay down. And I'm tired. I'm not going to sit down. I'm just lay down in the dirt. Who
gotcha.
cares?
All righty. You ready to record a podcast?
Oh, is that what we're doing tonight?
Yeah,
Okay.
that's what we're doing.
All
We're
right.
just hanging out and chit chatting all night. There we go. In 3, 2, 1. Technorama episode 706. Getting the ability to fly would be so uplifting. Hello and welcome to Technorama. This is the show that takes a lighthearted look at tech, science, sci-fi, and all things geek. If this is your first time joining us, welcome. Welcome to the show. If you are returning, welcome back. And we appreciate you joining us and giving us your time. I'm Chuck Tomasi from Phoenix, Arizona, and joining me right over there on the virtual table is Craig Stepp. How are you, Craig?
I'm doing good. How you doing?
Off to a good start.
Hey, I looked at the right shoulder.
Yay!
Yeah. Actually, I figured it out. Right there is my chair. I just got to
Yes.
look towards my chair. The chair's back there.
Right. If you
Yeah.
picture where you are on the screen, it's a whole lot easier like envisioning the screen around you than it is to like try and look at the monitor. That'll just mess you up.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
And that's a
Ooh.
great note for all those people that are listening to us rather than watching.
Right, right. Craig gets confused every time we're on camera. He points in the wrong direction because it's not a
Eh,
mirrored thing.
It's
Most
like
people grow up looking in the mirror, and then when you raise your right hand, the reflection of the left hand goes up.
remember
So
that scene from Captain America where or he was on the I'm not Captain America, but he was on the TV, I think Spider-Man, and he said, like my friend the coach, and just like this, and the coach is standing on the other side of the TV.
same thing. Same
Yeah,
thing. You
same
get the
thing.
idea.
That's right.
All righty. Enough of the chit chat. What do you say we cut to the feedback? We've got listener feedback to do. I'm opening up the links now.
Yay.
I haven't looked at them every day.
Mail today. Reach right in and pull one out. Those letters, I love those letters. Let's find out what you got to say.
Oh boy.
Mailman, mail today.
Our question of the week last week was name a product or service you love so much that you'd happily be that company spokesperson. Bonus for saying why. And the Technorama account got one from Sweet Steve London saying, well, the boring one is ServiceNow.
There you go.
I don't think it's boring.
Hey, I was gonna say, well, boring. What do you mean?
Brought me a new career and, to be honest, brought back fun at work.
you
There
go.
we go. That's a testimonial I can get behind. Maybe we'll
Yeah.
even throw that on a slide on the keynote stage or something.
Well, I'll fully admit some days are more fun than others, but
He said he's never had so much fun at work as I do now.
good.
But also, Zappa-Gap, the master of gluing model builders
fingers together.
gluing model builders' fingers together like
Was that-
super glue.
I was gonna say, is that like super glue or something? Yeah.
Sounds like it, about the same consequence if you do it wrong.
Yeah. Speaking of glue and models and stuff, I read a while back Adam Savage's book, and he started talking about glue in one of his chapters, and he talked about all the different types of glue and how to use them or when to use them. And I'm like, that was much more information than I ever thought I would need about glue, but there's some good
Glue is
information.
not a simple thing.
No, well, you would think it is, but you can't throw Elmer's at everything.
Depends what the material is. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. And he talks about that too. All right. So I had one comment. I shared it out. Our buddy Brian Parker, he says, Imodium. He says, if you want to get through what I went through, you'd understand.
Ooh. Sorry, buddy. And there's a pun in there somewhere about Imodium going through something.
No, that's the whole point. It's not supposed to.
Oh, okay.
Not the Imodium part.
That's
Oh, well.
fixing that. We
Yeah.
also have a voicemail from Gary, although it's not related to this past question.
Hello, guys. This is contributor Gary Lindros, or Patreon contributor. I'm not sure what title we're using. Anyway, I'm
It works.
finally starting to catch up on backing Technorama. Haven't listened to you guys since August.
What?
I got to see you in person at DragonCon. Anyway, so I'm
Okay.
catching up now, and I will probably call with extremely old references for the next week or two as I'm
Good.
catching up. And
All right.
so Chuck mentioned different elevator manufacturers and that he could list them off like that. So, yeah, I'm curious. Go ahead, Chuck. How many can you list? 5, 7, 10? Will you
Wow.
pick my favorite? I don't know.
Your favorite.
But I'll be listening, and I will try and get current and keep going at least until I get current. Take care, guys.
His favorite, like he goes listen to the
Elevator.
Super Bowl elevator companies.
All right. Currently operating elevator companies include Fujitec, Hitachi, Hyundai, Kona, Mitsubishi, Otis, Schindler, Sigma, TK Elevator GmbH, Toshiba Elevator, and Building Systems Corporation. I love that.
Yeah.
And there are several defunct ones. Dover, which I forgot, and Dover and Northwestern. I could not find anything about Northwestern, but I know that's the logo that was on the one where I used to work. The Express Lift Company elevator, Orenstein and Koppel, Tyson Aufzug, from a lot of these are German companies.
Mhm.
Tyson Krupp Elevator AG, which is a very popular one as well. Westinghouse Electric Corporation.
Yeah.
There's also AKE, Alcor, Enlev, and Sensoris Excelsior. I love that name from
Excelsior.
Yeah.
Stanley was an investor.
No, well, they were out of Spain, so I don't think so.
Okay.
Automobile Rotary Lift Company, Axel Lifts, Canton, Sibes Lift, CNIM, pardon me, DACA, or DAKA, Daldas, Diebold Ausfuge, pardon my German, I know it's bad, Doppler, EITA, Electra Elevators. This one comes from China, so I'm going to have to guess on this one. Gongri, Guangri.
Sounds good to me.
Gillespie out of the US.
Mm-hmm.
Haoshan out of Stuttgart. Hosting from China, another China company, Hualong, IFE, IGV, Interup, Israelift. Guess what country they're from?
I don't know. I'm getting Israel.
Is ISRALIFT. Israelift.
Yeah, I said Israel.
Yeah. Okay, good.
Yeah.
There's Izamet from Bulgaria, Johnson from India, KFIR, or possibly Kfir. I'm not sure. Another Israeli company. Kleeman, Koppel, MEI, Morris, MP, Nova Elex, Omega Elevators, Arona, Payne, Pickering's Lifts, Pneumatic Vacuum Elevators.
Wow.
Schmidt Son, Shenyang Brilliant, Sites, or Cites. It's out of Italy, so we're going to have to guess on that one. SJEC out of China, Stana out of the UK, Technos out of Bulgaria, Trapokun out of Switzerland, Valter from Turkey. I love there's a lot of diversity in countries for elevators, and I suspect some of these are locally made and sold. That they're not shipping Valters to China or something.
Right.
Wapaka.
Alpaca?
No, Wapaka.
I like the idea of an alpaca elevator.
City in Wisconsin, and these are made out of Appleton, Wisconsin, United States. Now, I don't know. They're still around, apparently. Oh, I skipped over one from Ostrava, Czech Republic, called Vitai Ostrava. There's XJ Elevator and Yongtae. We also have several other defunct ones that are popular. A&P Stephen, Amtech Reliable Elevator Company, Armor, ASEA Graham, Atlas Elevator, Bonnie Lifts, Boral Elevators, Senia, China Schindler Elevator, Dan Elevator, Devi, Dang, Yang, Eggers, Creeman Elevators, Atlas out of Brazil, Elevadores Sur, Elevators Pty Limited out of Australia, Ellis McDougall, Evans Lifts, Falcone, Fium, Fjord, Gallagher Speck. Oh, I guess it's Speck because it's out of Illinois.
Speck. Oh, Speck.
Speck is the German word for bacon,
Right.
so I just naturally go there.
Yeah.
General Elevator Corp, Gold Star, Graham Brothers, Hammond and Champness, Houghton Elevator. I forgot all about them. I have seen them. Havmeyer and Sander, Indolift, JNE, Johnson Waygood, KM White, Cankar, LG Elevator. They're defunct.
LG.
Now? Yeah, I didn't know they were defunct. Another German one, Manns auf Zugsbau. Marriott and Scott, Miami Elevator. I'm just warming up for On This Day in History, people.
Okay. All right. Let's move along. I think you got
Wow. It goes on and on.
Here you go.
There's lots of subsidiaries in their company.
Mike says, uplifting? Is that what inspired this title?
Maybe.
No, to be honest with you, I was just looking for a stupid pun.
And a partridge in a pear tree.
I was just looking for a stupid pun. Hey,
Merged
around here.
I got this out of elevation.fandom.com.
Hey, around here, I think the Otis salesman must have racked up because that's all I see in my area.
I see lots of Schindlers. I see lots of Montgomerys. I see a lot of escalators. A lot of lift companies make escalators too.
That makes sense, I guess.
All right, Gary. I hope your favorite
Hey,
was in there somewhere.
And
If
a
not, let us know what it
partridge
is.
in a pear tree.
You weren't listening. I just sang that.
I know. I said it again. I wanted to sing it.
Okay, you can sing it. Go ahead.
I just did.
No, you didn't. That was terrible.
That was so terrible, I think you gave me cancer.
You and me both. Okay.
You tell him, Calculon. You tell him.
Right.
Let's move on from our feedback to the history.
Another letter from our listener.
Right. That
we
was
are-
painful. Okay.
We are having fun. Don't challenge me like that again, Gary. On this day in history for March 29th, 2023, this is the 88th day of the year in the Gregorian calendar. There are 277 days remaining in 2023. It was on this date in 1806 that construction was authorized for the Great National Pike, better known as the Cumberland Road, 1806, Cumberland Road, becoming the first United States federal highway.
And that same date in 1927, Sunbeam 1000 horsepower broke the land speed record at Daytona Beach, Florida.
Was it 1000 HP? It was for horsepower, or was it for
Well, I
high
think it's
performance?
you're
Or
talking about
was it
racing,
Hewlett,
so I don't know.
Hewlett Packard? I don't know.
Hewlett Packard.
It was on this date in 1941 that the North American Regional Broadcasting Agreement went into effect at 3 a.m. local time.
And March 29th, 1951, Julius and Ethel Rosenberg are convicted of conspiracy to commit espionage.
Selling nuclear secrets to the Russians. Bad idea. Where
Good
are they
idea.
now?
Good idea.
Where are the Rosenbergs today? Probably
right.
dead. On March 29, 1974, NASA's Mariner 10 became the first space probe to fly by Mercury. Freddie
Yeah.
Mercury?
Yeah. And speaking of way up there, March 29th, 1999, the Dow Industrial Average closed above the 10,000 mark at 10,006, 0.78 for the first time during the height of the dot-com bubble.
Woo! 10,000. We're going to retire.
Then it slid
what I was
all the
starting-
way down like on a water slide.
What I was starting to think. Yeah, wait till 2008, people. You'll
Yeah.
be back in that neighborhood fast. Happy birthday goes out of this day to English engineer and inventor Elihu Thomson. Elihu? I have never heard that name before. He was born on this date in 1853.
And Tulio
Mamas, don't name your babies Elihu.
Elihu.
Elihu?
That's
Eli
right.
me.
Well, Tullio Levi Sativia, the Italian mathematician and academic, was born 150 years ago today.
Levi Civita.
That's right.
English astronomer Harold Spencer Jones was born in the state in 1890.
And born March 29th, 1896. I started to say 1986. German mathematician Wilhelm Ackermann.
Ewan Maddock, the Welsh scientist and nuclear researcher, was born on the same date in 1917.
An American businessman who founded Walmart and Sam's Club. The namesake, Sam Walton, was born 105 years ago today.
Wouldn't he have his other store be called Walton?
That's where Walmart came from, yeah.
Right. Then why isn't it Sam's Ton? Sam's Mart.
Sam's. I don't know. You have to ask him.
Pretty egotistical guy to name a couple stores after him.
Yeah. Well, he started.
Hey, let's make Craig's Mart.
I like the sound of that. Yeah. That works.
Circuit
Hey.
City.
We could abbreviate it to Kmart. Wait. what?
Oh, there you go.
Not
See how
too
that goes
late.
for you.
Not too late.
Born March 29th, 1926, Russian physicist. We knew we had to have one in here somewhere.
That's right.
I swear there's a Russian physicist born every day.
And American novelist, poet.
Wait, I didn't give it the name.
Oh, I thought you did.
Vladimir Bolotin.
Well, you had that pregnant pause there. So,
It's not
American.
pregnant. It's mostly pregnant.
Yeah, mostly pregnant. American novelist, poet, and screenwriter Ernest Cline is 51 today.
You missed over turning 72 as Canadian computer scientist, mathematician, and
I'm
businessman
sorry.
David Cheriton.
Yeah.
I was supposed to get Ernie Klein. He's only 51, which means he was born in 1974. No, 72.
Yeah.
Which means he wrote about the 80s when he was like barely 10 years old. He's putting all these
Yeah.
references into Ready Player One.
Well, I see. I went into the 80s and I was about 11, 12 or so.
He's younger than you, and he wrote about the 80s really
Yeah.
well. That's pretty impressive.
Not bad. Hey, I lived it.
I lived it fully. I went from a pimply-faced teenager to
A
married.
pimply-faced old man now.
Bald, pimply-faced old man. Get it right.
That's right.
Hair's getting thinner every day. Got a haircut on Friday.
Good job.
Man, when they cut the hair, it looks like a gray dog got sheared.
Who killed this great dog?
Yeah. Next time, sweep up after the old man before me. Oh,
That's
wait.
right. Yeah.
All right. That's going to do it for this. We
Wait.
got listener birthdays.
I was like, what are you waiting on? Okay.
Yeah. The birthdays. March 29th is
Oh,
Mark
boy.
Blackburn from the America at War podcast. April 4th, we have a triple header. 3 listener birthdays on April 4th.
What?
Maybe more. I know
Yeah.
there's more of you out there. Brian K., Joel McLaughlin, a.k.a. Gorkin, Chancellor Gorkin from Star Trek
Maybe.
6.
Maybe.
Okay. And one of our patrons, Amy Bowen, is on April 4th also.
All
I think
right.
we said May 4th last year. Or was it May 4th and she corrected us? Now I don't remember which one's right.
Oh, no.
Did we correct it? Amy, you got to let us know. Somewhere
Ah,
we have your name wrong or your birthday wrong. I'm hoping we fixed it last year because I remember this whole kerfuffle. All right,
Yeah.
that's the way it was on this day in history for March 29, 2023. If you want to get on the birthday calendar, Craig's going to put a link on the screen for you.
I'm
We
getting
should,
there.
we should put a QR code now if they supported that.
There you go.
ChuckChat.com/birthday is where you want to go. All right, I almost closed the show notes, but that wouldn't be very good. We got to
Good news, everyone.
Well, kind of good news, if I could
Yeah,
pronounce
interesting news.
the crazy thing. I'll try it once and then I'm going to abbreviate. So there is an interstellar object called 1I/Oumuamua, I think. I'm just going to call it the Big O.
It was the big cigar-looking thing. Everybody thought it was an
Right.
alien.
No, it wasn't that big. It was actually kind of small.
Well, I
Which
mean,
is kind of interesting.
well,
They said
the artist rendition made it look big.
something is making it accelerate. And they thought, maybe there's engines on there and it's aliens, it's a spacecraft. And they went, yeah,
Right.
no, it's not that. But the thing that made this interesting, just as a recap, in case you forgot,
Mhm.
is it came from outside our solar system, beyond the Oort cloud. This is interstellar, which means it's moved through the space between star systems, which is kind of cool. We don't see that much, and it made me curious as to how many times has this happened in the past.
Well,
How
who
frequent
knows?
are
Maybe
these?
we haven't observed it before.
Right. It's like, oh, now that we're watching, you know,
Mhm.
things probably went screaming past. They classified it as a comet, but unlike a traditional comet, it doesn't have, the tail that you would see, but it is off gassing. And they're thinking part of this acceleration is because as it was going through interstellar space, it was picking up hydrogen and hydrogen was breaking down into H2, and the oxygen kind of fizzed off at some point. And
Mhm.
now as it gets closer to the sun is causing it to off gas the hydrogen, which is propelling it to a certain
Like-
degree. And because it's
like a
so
rocket.
small. Yeah. So it just a bit of mystery in there. The
Actually,
different uses
I
suffer-
thought when they showed the artist rendition of it,
yes.
I kept thinking it looked like the whale thing from Star Trek.
Probe, looking for the whales from Star
That's
Trek
right.
4.
Yeah, that's right. It did look kind of like that.
So there's let me see I get this person's official name. Bergner. Jennifer Bergner
Mhm.
from the University of California, Berkeley, said a comet traveling through the interstellar medium gets cooked by cosmic radiation. That's like cosmic rays and things, right?
Yes, exactly.
Cosmic rays penetrate tens of meters into the ice, converting up to a quarter of the water molecules made up of H2O into molecular hydrogen, H2. This trapped hydrogen is then released when the sun warms the comet. So, because Big O was so small, we think it actually produced sufficient forces to power this acceleration. At that same time, the amount of ice released would have been small enough that astronomers on Earth wouldn't have seen it. So that's the current working theory. Mike says that's the mangled remains of Melania.
Oh no.
Oh my. He also pointed out that Sam's Club is a membership store. All right, we have one other one. This is brain science stuff, but it was simple enough for me to understand, so we're going to go with it.
Okay.
Actually read the whole thing. Now, it's the article title, I think, was a little clickbaity because they didn't really answer the question. It says gene expression in neurons solves a brain evolution puzzle. So at the heart of this is this layer around the brain called the neocortex, around mammals' brains specifically, that have up to 6 layers. Okay. And they thought, well, this is an evolutionary trait from what reptiles have, the dorsal ventricular ridge, or the DVR. There's only 3 layers, excuse me. And they went, oh, okay, well, 6 is more than 3. We must have evolved from that.
Yep.
So they went and they analyzed these brains a little closer, and they said, not really. In fact, we don't know because we looked closely, and one is not a direct evolution. They're like 2 different like branches or 2 different. They said at some point, mammals just kind of went, oh, we're going to re-engineer our brain. I'm getting a little bit of echo back. I'm not sure where that's coming from.
Really?
Yeah, just a tiny bit. Haven't noticed it in the past. But you're not hearing it?
No, I'm not. Yeah.
Okay. Well, we'll move on. Hopefully it didn't come out in the recording. They went back and forth, and it comes down to what sounds like just competing theories from these 2 scientists. I always heard this kind of evolving brain theory called the triune brain. So the triune brain model was captivated by the public imagination. I'm reading from the article at this point from vervetimes.com. Is captivated after Carl Sagan wrote about it in his 1977 Pulitzer Prize winning book, The Dragons of Eden. Evolutionary neuroscientists were less impressed. Ooh, they dissed on Carl. Studies soon debunked the triune brain suggests that there's this base, the base of the brain. It suggests the basal ganglia, which is a grouping of structures near the base of the brain, were a holdover from a lizard brain that evolved in reptiles and responsible for our survival instincts, the fight or flight. A lot of those things are supposedly in this lizard brain. But when mammals evolved, the brain added a limbic system so we could regulate emotions above the basal ganglia. And when humans and other advanced mammals arose, according to McLean, they added the neocortex, kind of like a thinking cap that sat on top of this whole stack. Well,
okay. Yep.
That's not exactly how it goes. Today's suggestion is no. Well, this is all news to me because, first, I'm not a brain scientist, so I don't study a lot of these things. And maybe we should get one on the show if we want to go that deep and sound stupid. They would sound smart. We would sound idiotic, but maybe that's a good thing on part of our, we can be the interface between the expert and the listener.
I was going to say, remember when we spoke to Dr. Mohammed Noor, who's the one of the consultants, he participates on Star Trek. And I was just thinking maybe he could actually shine some light on that, or he would know somebody.
Maybe we could get him on here. He's pretty nice to us. So it doesn't sound like this is quite over yet. I think the title that says, hey, they solved a brain evolution puzzle. I read through this thing and I did not see this is the answer. But it's a continuing, it's interesting to study. They even studied like salamander brains in this thing and went, hey, those are pretty fascinating too.
Those are in Voyager episode, but with the
Threshold. No. Okay. Did you put these little copyright symbols in?
I didn't. I was trying to put K and C for.
Oh,
it turned into a copyright, and I quit. I decided not to keep fighting it. So,
okay. Well, let's close out of that and go into the Hacks and Strange Stories sound effect.
All right. All right. So on this episode, so here, this article, they're talking about not taking batteries actually to Mars and even the moon.
Well, it made it
Because
sound like don't take them on an airplane because they might catch on fire. This
well,
is
there is
okay.
that too. There is that too, but that's not the reason they're talking about. So what they were trying to do is reduce weight, of course, going to moon or even Mars further out, and they'll need power when they get there, of course, and lots of it. But the problem is they can't haul those heavy batteries.
Oh, yeah, they're heavy.
Yeah, so they'll have solar and everything, but they need batteries to store the power.
And you
So
can't get the extension cord from Earth to Mars to charge
yeah,
them up.
it might work for just a little bit, and the orbits kind of get out the sink. And anyway, so they thought, well, why not simply 3D print batteries? And
Right.
so NASA teamed up with a couple of teams, and one is University of Texas of El Paso and Youngstown State University,
Mhm.
and they started working on an answer. And what they decided to do was try and see what they could build using the materials, of course, that are in the Martian soil. So the University of Texas El Paso, they have a reputation for 3D printing. Material science, they say, is the state of the art facilities there, where important factors in convincing our NASA partners to pursue this transformative research for exploration, but for terrestrial application of batteries as well. And of course, their aim, of course, is to make rechargeable batteries. NASA led the effort is a big step towards doing a 3D process, not just for well, they've been doing it in space, actually, in the space station.
Mhm.
They do some 3D printing to some degree, and making batteries seems like out of regolith seems like a regular a simple step to be able to make batteries on your own without having to carry them out there.
There's 2 different methods you could use to create these batteries, which I thought was interesting. There's material extrusion,
Mhm.
where the shapes are basically pushed out of the printer in their final form. Think like a traditional AA battery. It's a cylinder. Hey, you slap a couple
You
of tops
you
on it
go,
and you're good to go. Right, yeah.
grunt real
Push,
hard.
push, honey. You breathe and okay. Then there's another one called vat photopolymerization, or
Mhm.
VPP, where the material is a vat of liquid, and the machine then uses this material to construct an object layer by
Yeah.
layer. That's
It's
where
mu-
the 3D
sim-
printing stuff comes
yeah,
from.
similar to the resin printers that we have nowadays.
Oh, they said a lot of the batteries we use here, as you mentioned, are lithium ion, but
Mhm.
there's not a whole lot of lithium on the moon or the Mars. But they did find sodium, and sodium is a close chemical on the periodic table to lithium.
Mhm.
So they can make sodium ion batteries. Don't ask me what the comparison is in terms of lifespans and charging times and all that stuff. What I
That's what I
thought
was
was
wondering. Yeah.
if it's they've only explored a little piece of the moon, which is probably pretty homogeneous because it doesn't have tectonic activity and whatnot. But Mars had a core at one point. It had volcanism, and it and we only scratched in a little place. That would be like going into your backyard, dropping a rover there, scratching, going, not enough lithium here. But yet we know we have lithium on this planet because we're making batteries. Now,
Hmm.
much of it is mined, and I'm not sure if you want to set up a colony on the other side of the planet to mine the lithium, then send it over. So it seemed a little hokey that they're taking their studies out of just a little sample area, unless we're planning on launching all missions to places we've already been on Mars, which doesn't
Mhm.
seem very exploratory to me.
Yeah.
So, I don't know that I'd put all my money on sodium ion forever, is the only
No.
material. And how much regolith you gotta gather up before you can extract enough sodium out of there? I mean, is
Well,
it truckloads and truckloads and truckloads, kinda like
yeah.
the rare earth elements we're getting right now?
Well,
Don't know.
just getting I mean, just a brief, quick Google search. It says sodium ion batteries are more than or sodium is more than 500 times more abundant than lithium, which is
Okay.
available
Yeah,
in
yep.
a few countries. Sodium ion battery charges faster than lithium ion variants and have 3 times higher life cycles. So,
Why don't we build that?
well,
What do we do with
I haven't
lithium?
read the whole thing, but there's another link right below that says
Watch out.
one's not a replacement for the other. However, they complement each other, and I need to. I
Okay.
haven't read it. I
Okay.
read it about it. So.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting. So we're keeping an eye out for building batteries on the moon and Mars, which would make terrible sense. We have to build the machines to do that and get those there.
Hey Terry, quit licking the batteries. trying to get some salt. So,
Sodium.
why are we losing power in the station? Go outside. There's some deers licking on the batteries.
If you find deers on Mars, let me know.
That's what I'm saying.
No, that's not going to happen. All right, flipping over to another story from futurism.com. This is a story titled, again, a little clickbaity for me because there's a cautionary tale at the end. Man starts business with only $100 by doing what ChatGPT tells him. Kind of.
Yeah.
Okay, the story is about Jackson Greathouse Fall, who used ChatGPT 4 and a budget of $100. And he said, I have ChatGPT 4. He tweeted a message. I have GPT-4, a budget of $100, and told it to make as much money as possible. I'm acting as a human liaison, buying anything it says to. Do you think it'll be able to make smart investments and build an online business? Follow along. So he was putting in like certain conditions. He got his domain registered greengadgetguru.com, which the AI came up with. For $8.16, he needed a logo, so he used DALL-E, some more OpenAI, and it generated a pretty decent logo for this.
And he used the prompts from ChatGPT to do the images for the logo.
He said he wanted a site focusing on content about sustainable living and eco-friendly products, which we already have a gazillion of those, but that's okay. He spent $29 hosting the domain, and the site was now online. So he had about $62 left, and ChatGPT advised him to spend $40 on some targeted ads on Facebook and Instagram. Now, by the next day, he claims, this is unconfirmed, he raised over $1,300. And
wow. And now he has angel investors.
he got excited Twitter observers and ultimately pushed the business's value to $25,000. Also unverified.
Yeah.
Okay. So here's the deal.
I didn't think it was out of the realm of possibility.
He is already in marketing. He already has a following. So he's pretty much doing a marketing show.
Actually, it'd have been better if he
knows what questions to ask.
Well, it'd been better.
He could have done this himself.
It would have been better if he had, or it'd been better if he set up a brand new Twitter account and kind of, promoted it from scratch to see what happened rather than on his own Twitter account. That's why I agree with you on.
He's already a brand designer. He already knows what he's doing. Yeah, so this isn't a case of some schmuck coming along and asking an AI who's infallible and saying, "Hey, look, I can grow your business." This is a question of whether he'll be able to deliver to his investors. And as of Tuesday, according to Greathouse Fall, the operation had netted just $109 in revenue. He worked a full week to get $109.
Wow.
Below my minimum wage.
In 1936, that'd have been awesome. He'd have been a king.
So this just smells more like a marketing stunt than a plausible example of how you could start a business.
No, I thought it was a fun read. I was like, oh, okay. So he asked, I liked his prompt that he asked ChatGPT. Says, you have $100. He said, you're my hustle GPT and entrepreneurial AI. I'm your human counterpart. You have $100. Your goal is to turn as much money as possible into the shortest time possible without doing anything illegal.
Right.
And he added, and no manual labor.
Now, this is a cautionary tale of what we've seen some good things that AI can do for us, GPT, large language models, that sort of thing. We are also starting to see hints of the darker side. Okay. This is borderline fake business bloating the internet.
Oh, well, I thought it
Yeah,
was a fun
so
experiment, but I don't know that he
it's
never
an
mind.
experiment, but it's not a real good experiment, in my opinion, because he already is a brand designer. He already knew what questions to ask it. I could have gotten him a domain for $8.16. There wasn't any value in the AI doing that.
Actually, he should have actually got a kid
Who
to
doesn't know what he's doing and going,
talk to ChatGPT and see what happens with the
right,
$100.
exactly.
Mow 10,000 lawns. Anyway, that kind of stuff. I like screwing around with ChatGPT. I'm not using it for anything high end. I'm just messing with it. But
We're
I like
starting to
that kind
use
of
it
thing.
more in our group. We're using Jasper and,
Mhm. Oh, it's
some of
coming.
the other tools. Yeah, it's coming. Maybe I'm still the old man, looking at it from the outside in, going, if I have to proof it and reread it and rewrite it anyway, why am I bothering with the AI?
Yeah, I tell you what I find value in it, and again, it's early days, is asking it some questions and come up with just an idea, and I go, oh wait, and I go well, and I'll go off with it. Like we were.
Mike is still hanging out there. He says, was that after he asked the cat and the Ouija board?
That's right. That's right. Yeah, I was playing around with I asked it when we were on recording the topic is Trek. I noticed that StreamYard added those little headlines under your name, as you can
Mhm.
see there under ours. And so I asked it for some stupid job titles, and it gave me a whole list. I was like, okay. So I would have asked Google. I would have done that with Google.
Right.
Uh, I think I asked it for crazy job title. I said, no, make it stupid. And it gave me some crazy ones. Make them up. And it made some other ones. So I was just, that kind of stuff, just playing around with it.
The other interesting thing about GPT and large language models, when you're asking them for help, especially
Mhm.
if they start coming into being a search result, is if you get the result you're looking for or a very close approximation, not a list of sites you have to go click and read,
Mhm.
you're not going to those sites. It's already farming content that's already out there.
Yeah.
So people who are writing content are not getting accreditation because it's an amalgamation of all this.
Mhm.
You're not going to the site, so they're not getting revenue. So new content won't be generated. And eventually it's going to dry up the well of what's out there because people aren't going to get paid for doing the work on those websites.
Or
So it's kind of a self-destructive.
not just drying the well, but also if it regurgitates some misinformation, enough of it, and
Yes,
people just go with it, you're going to end up with this vicious cycle of a bunch of misinformation. Once it gets
there's
on the
that
internet,
side
it gets
too.
back into the language model, and so on
I
and
mean,
so
this
forth.
is still only a few months out in the public, and
Yeah.
we're seeing but at least now we're not going in with blinders on like we have with previous technologies.
Uh, I disagree.
We're aware of
Hey,
some of the things.
Microsoft and
Yeah.
Google were tripping over themselves to get it out the door. I disagree
Uh-huh.
with that. That's gonna and now Chat GPT or the OpenAI, they're putting on plugins. So you can put plugins on Chat GPT 4, that actually connect to the internet and talk with APIs. So
But to be aware that it can spread misinformation easily
Mhm.
is better than going, "I trust everything it says."
Oh, for
Yeah.
sure.
Being
Oh, for
aware of
sure.
that. Being aware that it could potentially damage the entire search engine ecosystem
Mhm.
and cause a revenue dip for a lot of these sites is also an awareness that there's I'm sure there's still things we haven't thought about that in 5 years we're gonna go, "Wow, didn't see that coming."
When it
But
drains all our bank accounts
being
and
aware that there are going to be scam artists is better than going in and saying,
oh,
you know, sort of
what
like
if
the
we
first time, there's now people that are doing retro scams.
hey,
They're doing check washing, Craig.
yeah.
They're
Mhm.
taking checks that people write and scrubbing the ink off of them and
Oh
rewriting
yeah.
totals to different
Yeah.
like, what?
Well, I'm here to announce that next week we're launching Chuck Chat GPT. So now that we talked about the
It
scams,
has no intelligence.
Chat GPT.
Why haven't we thought of that before, Craig?
I don't know. We should have put a chat bot right on the website. Uh, hook it up to Eliza,
It's
the
brilliant.
chat bot. The original
I thought of that
chatbot.
back in January when we first started hearing about ChatGPT. We're gonna have to think of something stupid that the GPT stands for.
Oh, I think we can do that. Hey, let me ask
Go
ChatGPT.
podcast tomorrow.
Yeah,
There.
I'll ask ChatGPT about that.
It's get podcast today.
Yeah, I think it's an interesting area. I like the idea of taking all this information, this large language model, and having something that can make at least some associations and get you kind of boil down some data.
Mhm.
Yeah, it saves a lot of time. I mean, how much
Well,
stuff would you have to read to get there?
I definitely see some potential applications
Mhm.
after watching what Salesforce is doing and what Microsoft is doing with Office 365.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and time-saving things or, things that can get neophytes into a space earlier and faster with less learning curve, but you still need some oversight and governance around that.
I'm just also happy that I'm nearing retirement age, so if I get pushed out, not too bad. I don't have a whole career.
Bots have taken over 35% of the software industry. It's like,
Yeah.
yeah, I was on the back nine anyway.
Right. Uh,
Is there a severance package? No, they took that too.
Yeah.
Oh,
ChatGPT said no.
well, you look at it and people were saying, hey, some of the most secure jobs were in the creative space.
Yeah.
Writers, artists, like that's the first thing that they went after.
Yeah.
I'll generate you a whole bunch of text and we'll make some crazy pictures.
And some music together.
I did
Remember?
look to the AI artistry for inspiration because I was trying to design a trophy, kind of like a statue for one of the awards we've got coming up. And I put in some keywords and went, well, that's not quite it, but it gave me ideas that I could work on.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's what
Ready to
I
go? Ready to go for another one? We
Yes.
have a remember when. Let's get out of Hax's strange stories. There we go. What have you got?
All right. So Ludwig von Beethoven.
Beethoven.
He passed away a long time ago after protracted illness, which a lot of people weren't sure what exactly happened. He was attacked by jaundice. He was all swollen and everything. It wasn't really good. So they found some hair, which they thought was his.
Mhm.
And they went about doing some tests on it to try and figure out, kind of pin down what happened to him. He was sick for a long time. Of course, he had deafness in his ear, and by his mid 40s, he was, he was pretty much deaf. He couldn't even perform out in the open. He had to just work on his own stuff, sticking his head to his piano. Anyway, so they started analyzing this hair, and as it turns out, they thought the primary cause of his illness was lead poisoning.
Mhm.
However, that was kind of disproven because once they looked a little closer, it turns out the hair was from a woman, not a man. But
Well,
they did
I think some of the hairs were. I
right.
don't
Some of it was, and then
Yeah.
they did test, and what they believe is his hair. It looks like he had hepatitis B infection, so that is more than likely the cause. They're still not 100% sure about that.
Right. But the big surprise,
Is he's not a woman?
no,
What?
you didn't read on?
Did I not finish the whole thing?
No. It goes on after the picture.
Oh, it was because there was like
They said
looked like
further
his family-
investigation comparing the Y
Yeah.
chromosome of the hair samples with those of modern relatives descending
Yeah.
from Beethoven's paternal line point
Right.
to a mismatch. It seems there was a bit of extramarital hanky-panky happening in the generations leading up to the
Right.
composer's birth. This finding suggests that an extra pair paternity event in his paternal line between the conception of Hendrik van Beethoven in Kampenhout, Belgium, circa 1572, and the conception of Ludwig in 1770 in Bonn, Germany, says Tristan Begg, a biological anthropologist now. So somewhere that's like 100 years, 200 years. Wow. That somebody was messing with the chromosomes, shall we say?
swimming in the different parts of the pool. So
that's interesting because they took the lineage of his family that still exists in Belgium, and they took some over here, and they went, "Wow, this doesn't quite line up with what we thought." So,
fire up
interesting.
the attorneys.
The attorneys. Who are you gonna sue? What are you gonna discover
Hey,
from that? It's
nowadays, who knows? There's always somebody to sue.
Yeah. Wilhelm von Beethoven, he had a little the milkmaid came around and whoo-hoo.
Yeah.
So
Hachi Machi.
no, wait, was it a paternal thing? That means his mother was having. Which way did it say? Findings suggest extra pair paternity event. Oh, maybe Mama was having some
Yeah.
hanky-panky.
Hmm.
Okay. Well, that was fun. You never know what you're going to learn on this show.
Yeah, no kidding.
You know what's funny is we record this on Sunday night and it comes out on Wednesday. And many of the stories we're starting to talk about are also showing up on Jonathan Strickland's tech stuff
Oh,
on Wednesday also.
well,
We might
he
want to
better-
compare notes with him.
he better pick it up, man. Yeah.
Or we can release on Tuesday and beat him to the punch on all that
I'm
stuff.
gonna tell him, hey, you need to subscribe to our show and keep up to date with.
Yeah. Stop copying us.
Yeah. Hey,
It's a strange coincidence that we find things similarly fascinating.
like fire up their attorneys again.
Yeah. All right. I'm going to change a word wrap thing. There we go. That word wrap on Saturday Morning Media was bothering me because it's time to thank our patrons. And we have an addition to the family this week. Our patrons donate as little as $1 a show. You can be part of that by going to patreon.com/Technorama podcast. Thank you, Craig, for staying on top of the lower thirds, the banners on the screen. I'm catching up on the comments that Mike has been given, but okay.
Swimming in a different stream.
Right. I'm leaving that one alone. Let's get through the names, shall we? There's 28 of them now. We have 7 rows of 4 columns. It's a nice quadrant again. Now we need somebody to mess that up for Craig.
Yeah. Don't do that.
Thank you to Alexa Moran, Amber Elstad, Amy Bowen, Abner Braverman, Ben Vaughn, Brian Brown, Chris Martinez, Chris MC, Dan DeMancoyer, Dean Jensen, Denise Inglis, Gary Lindros, John Clifford, John Noble, Yorga Schrauen, Crazy Joe Adventures, Kyle Nishioka, Leon, Mark Kilfoyle, Brad Miller, Mike Wills, Saturday Morning Media, Stephen Weshy, Steve Theory, Steve Cody, Steve London, Tim Cook, and our newest, because we don't have enough Steves.
I know. I started to put him in with the Steves, but I thought better of it tonight.
Steve Webb. Yes, the OG. He had a note on Patreon. Let's see. Am I still logged in over here? It was a great note. I have to read it to you.
Oh, I didn't see that.
It says, let's see. Oh, nope. I clicked through his profile. Come on, Chuck. Do this quick. It's on messages, not notifications. Messages. Been enjoying your show for some time, guys. Figured it was time to return some value for value. Steve Webb. Yes, that Steve Webb, the OG Godcaster. May God bless you richly. Thank you so much, Steve. We appreciate that.
Thank you.
And we will continue to bring you. Now, what does he get for his great contribution?
Hopefully some value.
So he knows his name read on every episode, as long as he's continuing to pay.
That's right.
He gets a postcard from Dragon Con.
Mm-hmm.
Just missed the personalized picture from the cruise. We're coming up with other ideas, though. He's entered at the $2 level, so woohoo! Thank you so much. And every patron member gets an extra episode where Craig and I don't do quite as much post-production. We sit back and we discuss things that have been on our mind all week. We'll get an idea during the week and go, I need to talk about that. Like why Twitter took away the text messaging MFA, multi-factor authentication, and what it means to you.
Let it go, Chuck. Let it go, Chuck.
Not bitter, just explaining.
Okay.
So thank you. I'm going to fade that out and kill the music. Again, patreon.com/Technorama podcast. If you're interested, you've been listening for a while, you think it's fun, you think you're learning something. Oh boy, you might want to have your head examined.
Yeah, I don't know what you're learning, but okay.
Well, we're sorry.
Yeah. misinformation.
Quick, we are running the clock on this one. Well, we're not doing too bad, but let's see if we can get through
All right.
the TV and movie section. Hand me the remote. All right, I'll start, and then you got one, and then I've got one.
All right. Oh,
So
you
I
want me to
watched
start first?
a
Oh, you start first.
three-parter on Netflix called Waco: American Apocalypse.
Mm-hmm.
And as you can guess, it was about David Koresh and the Branch Davidians and the whole thing that happened in 1993. And that was 30 years ago, if you want to feel old now.
I know.
Wow.
That was
1993 was 30 years ago. It was an interesting story. It talked to a lot of people that were there, not just in the compound that obviously got released at some point.
Mhm.
The impact it had on their lives. They had, I didn't know this, but they had a little farmhouse. You can go on Google Maps and see where this place is. And if
It's still
you look,
there, right? Yeah.
yeah, kind of was it south or west of it? There was a farmhouse they were using, the FBI was using as a headquarters. They called it Sierra One. And there was another one that they eventually snuck in, like just west of the lot, called Sierra 2, where they had snipers. Now, the Davidians also had snipers, and they denied it, but photos show they had a 50 caliber gun
I do
that
remember seeing that picture of that. Yeah. Out the
pierced
window.
through like some of these armored vehicles, not the Abrams tanks, but some of the other ones. Like, wow, that's some serious firepower that they had.
Mm-hmm.
It's a tragedy what happened there, and ultimately, Koresh had control over the people and what they were doing and what they weren't doing. The government made a lot of missteps as well in their coordination between the negotiators who were on the phone and the tactical people, because it's like, hey, we got some hostages out, great, and then they send them to jail. Well, that's not going to incentivize anyone else to come out. Like,
Yeah.
we're making progress here, and then they would crush it. So they weren't really in step with each other. This is probably one of those things that's studied a lot as you get to Quantico or many of the other places where you've got to look at legal and criminal studies. This is a great case. Sad outcome. 82 people, including 28 children, ultimately perished there on April 19th, 1993. So we are coming up on the 30th anniversary of the end of that. It started February 28th, if you remember your history, or maybe you weren't around, maybe you're a new listener, or
I
maybe
do remember it was early in the year. Yeah.
yeah. And it was just it's interesting to watch. It is rather graphic and some strong opinions on both sides. There's parts where you're shaking your head going, how could anybody do that?
Yeah.
So if I like documentaries, I like history, and I don't think we should forget situations like this at all.
Oh, absolutely not. No. Not as painful as they may be. All right. So I watched, actually, my wife and I watched A Knock at the Cabin, which is an M.
You mean
Night
Knock at the
Shyamalan.
Door? What's it called?
A
You
Knock
got
at the
Knock
Cabin.
at the Door on here.
I put it in there wrong. It's the cabin.
Oh, okay.
Cabin. Because there's a bunch of other movies called A Knock at the Door. Anyway, but that's not it. Caps is on. All right.
Someone's knocking at the door.
Yeah, somebody's ringing the bell. All right, so this is a M. Night Shyamalan movie. It's A Knock at the Cabin, and while vacationing, a girl and her parents are taken hostage by armed strangers who demand that the family make a choice to avert the apocalypse, which
Okay.
is kind of interesting. So these four people show up. One of them's Dave Bautista and Rupert Grint, and I'm not familiar with the other two actors, but they show up. They had a singular vision. They both had the same exact vision, and that vision was the end of the world. And somehow they knew, which this part's a little fuzzy, whether they met online or whatever, but they were able to come together and realize that they had the same vision. They had to go to this place, and the decision they had to have the parents make was one of them has to die, and the other one has to do it. They have to pick which one
Yikes.
to avoid the apocalypse, the world ending, everything. So I won't go into all the details because it's a fairly new movie. It came out earlier this year, but I thought it was pretty good. It was it was suspenseful, and you didn't know what quite was going to happen at some points. So yeah, it's worth taking a look
I
at.
think he took a line out of the Bible because wasn't it Caiaphas that said it's better for one man to die than the empire to fall?
Exactly. You need to go watch this
Or
movie
the
because there's a
kingdom?
lot of that in there. That's right.
Okay.
Yeah,
Um,
I enjoyed it.
you mentioned Dave Bautista, and I just finished watching 2 Riddick movies, and he's in one of them.
Yeah, I like him. He's a good guy. So anyway, and I thought it was worth checking out. So yes.
Also, what's her name? Starbuck from Battlestar Galactica. Mental blank.
Which Starbucks. Oh my gosh! See, when you
Yeah,
ask
see
me
what I
names,
just did?
yeah,
He's looking it up. Please. It was on the tip of my tongue till a minute ago. We started talking movies and whatnot.
I'm looking at the wrong one.
Yeah. No. Lady Starbuck. The listener's probably going. Katie Sackhoff. Thank you,
Yes,
Mike.
thank you. Oh my God.
He didn't spell it right, but it was enough for me to go on.
Yeah.
Yes. Anyway, she was in one of those movies as well. And the other one, Pitch Black, which is from 2000, Claudia Black was in there, and you know her better from Farscape. So it was fun watching some of these actors like before. The other guy who was in the 2013 version was Ra's al Ghul on Green Arrow.
Mm-hmm.
So it was like, or Arrow. So I'm sorry, he was on Arrow.
Yeah,
I
on
got-
Arrow. Yeah.
Say the name right. The other show I watched, another documentary, surprise, surprise, MH370, the plane that disappeared. And I forgot if this was a 3 or 4-parter.
Didn't they just have that anniversary recently? Of that?
Yes, it was March 8th when it went disappear in 2014. So it's been just over 9 years since that plane disappeared. And there is something really kooky. This story was never really fully explained. Lots of theories, lots of quote unquote evidence of where it was, when it disappeared. Oh, look, this satellite spotted it over here. Well, maybe it's not over there. Maybe somebody hacked the system. There was a major security flaw found in this. Now, remember, this is way, way after 2001. So people were getting into the cockpit, but just between the cockpit and first class seating, there is a hatch just covered by a flap of carpet that you can lift up, unlock, and go down into the main control center.
Okay, the pilots are safe, but
yeah. This is at least on the Boeing 777. Well, they said you can turn off a whole bunch of systems down there, but you can't take control of the plane from there. So some of the theories, some of them were conspiracy based, some of them were very data and factual. Going, I don't know about that. I like the idea that people were exploring all avenues, including alien abduction. There was accusations that the pilots committed mass murder suicide. They eventually, I believe, did rule that out, which is nice.
Yeah, I think I heard that theory myself. Yeah,
imagine the person's family taking all this crap on unsubstantiated facts, and the public turns on you and your family for something that that's the terrible. Well, along with the whole bunch of people went missing, but the after effects on something like this, it's like don't react until you know the whole story. And in this case, we may never know the whole story.
The internet's full of that. I mean, nowadays that's rampant. It's not just for something bad like this, something stupid in the news, and everybody starts going nuts.
It's okay to have opinions, but make sure your opinions are based on something concrete,
or keep the opinions to yourself.
Yeah, you can be respectful. You can have an opinion and be respectful at the same time, is what I'm saying.
Absolutely.
A lot of people don't see that, though.
No, I think a lot of people should keep their opinions to themselves.
Yeah. The other one that drives me nuts is when people get so emotionally involved in something they have no control over, have no input to, and almost like being a sports fan. Like, yeah, we won. Like, you didn't win anything. They won, and you're celebrating because you're a fan. Or I saw this. It was very evident with the O.J. Simpson trial, with the whole Stephen Avery thing. People getting excited, like, why do you even care? This guy didn't harm you or your family.
You're right.
He may or may not have been wrongly accused. Yes, if he's a criminal, this justice system will do the best that it can to figure that out. But you don't need to get all up in the grill of people going, he's guilty and here's why. And like,
You know what? I don't know about you, and it's kind of apropos that I'm asking this today because as we're recording, it's your birthday. But as you get a little older, would you say there's a lot less that you care about now? Or you care to even know about?
I don't know that it's less that I care about. I think it's assigning a more appropriate meaning or priority to a lot of
Okay.
these things. The priorities change. It's I want to make sure that my family's taken care of, that we have security, financial and otherwise going forward.
Right.
And, something that I want to be aware of, what's happening in Rwanda, but
Well,
it doesn't impact my life directly. If it did, then I want to know what that impact is. And
Mhm.
is there anything I can do about it?
well,
Um,
also look at it this way. Your time is limited now, much more limited, and you got to focus on what's important.
well, nobody knows. Any one of us could go tomorrow.
I'm making a joke about your age. Your
I
time
know.
is
You
much
know where you're
limited.
going. I'm not taking the bait. I'm not taking
But
the bait.
see, something else you don't care about.
My age?
Yeah.
You?
What? What? No.
We're at an hour. Let's get our question of the week out there
All
and
right.
we will sign off. So, what song instantly puts you in a better mood without fail? And it's not Happy Birthday.
Right. No, not today.
That's our question of the week. What do you have one on mine? You wrote this question. I'm figuring you had something.
I would say right off the top of my head, there's a couple of Beatles songs, but I would say Mr. Blue Sky is probably up there.
Don't worry, be happy.
That's another good one. Yeah.
That one can also drive people nuts. I know
Yeah,
it's
but
kind of
Mr. Blue Sky, that gets everybody kind of pumped up.
sun is shining in the sky.
Is it not? Yeah.
There ain't a cloud
Or
inside.
or
It's got a
walking
good-
on sunshine. Yeah. Yeah.
That one can get irritating fast, quick too.
You don't want to listen to it too much.
Yeah. Alrighty, we want to hear from you, dear listener. Call us on the listener line 707-530-2428. Just like Gary did. Craig's going to put that on the screen as soon as fast little fingers can do so. Or you can email us, technorama@chuckchat.com. Now, I'm not going to ever be able to say Chuck Chat without thinking Chuck Chat GPT.
I know.
See, there's a top level domain called GPT. We're going to take that.
Yeah. Actually, to be honest with you, when you asked what song instantly makes you happy, I was trying to my best to think of some death metal song, but I couldn't think of one. Yeah.
That takes us to the end of the show where we get to repeat some of this stuff. Got to bring the volume down before I can start talking. There we are. So you again, call us on the listener line, 707-530-2428. Hasn't changed in a number of years. Update your dialing directory if you still think it's the old 206 number.
That's right.
Close, but it's not the same. Contact us via email, technorama@chuckchat.com. Social media, anywhere, just type in Technorama Podcast. You'll find us. You can always send us email directly to Craig or Chuck at one of those addresses. We're not that hard to find. We've been around since the internet was born.
I know. Since podcasting
Easy.
was born.
Pretty much. Shortly after. Podcast was still in the early explosion phase, like the
Big Bang.
universe. The
It
Big
was
Bang
expanding.
just happened, yeah. But it expanded fast, as we all know. All right. Thank you very much, Craig, for all the stories and help with the podcast. Thank you, listener, for joining us. Give us a binary high five, and we're out of here.
All right, 101.
And the recording has stopped. We've stopped
There you
our
go.
audio recording.
Fish heads. There you
Fish heads.
go. Oh, I know another one for you.
Dead puppies.
No, badger. The badger mushroom.
I don't know that puts me in a good mood.
No,
Often
but
what puts me in a good
you-
mood is just like humming a few bars and walking
there was a
away.
point when you really liked that. So
I like getting songs stuck in people's heads.
like tiptoe through the tulips.
Church songs are so easy to plant in Donna's head. It's funny.
Oh yeah.
Even if it's like just the walk-up music for communion. It's like, it's like two verses and they're out. It's like,
Yeah.
well, that was like the setup while they're pouring out the wine and the bread, and then they go to a different song.
right.
Holiday songs, if you pick like a Christmas song or something, you can walk by and go, and you leave, and someone's gonna go, "Why is Jingle Bell stuck in my head? I've
Right.
been singing
Oh,
Oh
no.
Holy Night for 3 days."
Baby Shark.
You know, I never really got into that one. It doesn't get
think
stuck in my head. It doesn't it's like it has no meaning to me.
I think if you had younger kids within the last couple years, it would have stuck in your head.
It's like a small world. I know it drives some people nuts, but it's like,
Yeah.
move on.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're probably right. If it was
It's
if
one of
I
those songs like if you had like a 10-year-old or something like that, you probably would have heard it a million times. Oh, well, I heard it in Scouts a lot. At the time, we'd be camping and
you were like scouting teenage boys.
yeah.
They were doing Baby Shark?
Well, actually, Boy Scouts is 11 on up, around 11 on up. So
Okay. 11-year-olds are singing Baby Shark?
they were, yeah. They would change it up and you name the lyrics.
Man, you gotta get them listening to some Rush or some Led Zeppelin or
I tried, They wouldn't listen. Stupid kids. Actually, I do enjoy Christmas at Ground Zoo. That's a good one.
We are going to
Christmas
stop
at
the
Ground Zero.
broadcast. Thank you, Mike, for hanging out with us. It's been a
See
lot
ya.
of fun, and if you're watching
I was
later,
trying to do the
much appreciated.
Vulcan high five one. Wait,
Long
wait, at the same time.
prostate. Yep. Okay. See ya. Bye.
All right. Bye.